วัสดีค่ะ Good morning. Welcome everyone to the academic seminar on refugee language and identity, the case of Aceh. Today is the 5th of July. We start a little bit late, sorry on that, because we are waiting for the setting up. But right now we are ready to kick off the seminar forum for the special talk as well from the guest professor from Aceh. We are here at Thammasat University Thar Prajan on the 4th floor of the Faculty of Social Administration building. So all of you who are on the journey, please come to the 4th floor. And we also have online. You can follow from our Facebook page. The seminar is actually co-organized by two centers, the Center for Contemporary Social and Cultural Studies, Faculty of Sociology and Anthropology, Thammasat University, and the Center for Southeast Asian Studies, the Institute of Asian Studies, East Asian Studies, Thammasat University as well. For about 2 hours forum, we have two special speakers. The first is Professor Dr. Phil Saiful Akmal. He's professor in language, education, culture and communication, Universitas Islam Negeri Aryani, Banda Aceh, and he's the senior researcher at the Aceh Institute and the International Center for Aceh and Indian Ocean. The second speaker is Assistant Professor Melly Masni. She's from the Department of Political Science, the Faculty of Social and Government Science, Universitas Islam Negeri Aryani, Banda Aceh as well. She's also a vice chair of the Refugee Center of the university. So before we start the forum, I'd like to invite people who are behind the scene. Actually, Assistant Professor Dr. Onanong Tipumon, the head of the Center of Southeast Asian Studies, and me, we just have the idea that we should provide a forum for the sake of knowledge when we have the guests from abroad who conduct the research in collaboration with Prince of Songkhla University. And this is a chance for us as well to learn the new aspect and the updated information, knowledge from the scholars who conduct the research internationally. We have guests from different associations, not only from universities, but also from different agencies, international organizations. And we have persons who are going to welcome our guests from Aceh. The first would be Assistant Professor Dr. Chaiwat Misanthan. He is the director of the Institute of East Asian Studies. And the second would be Assistant Professor Panarai Ostapirat. She's also with us. And then we are going to open the forum, kick off for the section of the seminar. Then we are going to open the floor for Q&A, including the discussion. So this is the procedure for this morning section. Before that, without further ado, I'd like to welcome Assistant Professor Dr. Chaiwat to deliver the brief welcome remark for all of us. Thank you.
A very good morning. Selamat pagi. Okay, Sawadee krab. And first of all, I would like to say welcome you to Thailand. I think maybe you very long time in Thailand, right, for 1 week. Especially to Thammasat University and the Institute of East Asian Studies. I by myself, as a director of the institute, we would like to say thank you very much for accept our invitation, and also would like to thank you, both of you, to join and sharing your experience in Aceh with all of us. And also I would like to say thank you to CSASS, Faculty of Sociology and Anthropology, Thammasat University, to host and invite us to join our program today. And finally, even we processed just 2 or 3 days, but finally it happened. And I think it will be give a good benefit to our audience today on site and online, and also you can share like your experience for us, and we can learn from you, especially many kind in publication in from your experience that you do on your research. On behalf of the institute and also from Thammasat University, again would like to say thank you very much for join and accept our invitation. And I hope that the program today will run smooth, and also the audience on site and online, we got a benefit from speaker and also from the panel of our discussion. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you ค่ะอาจารย์ So the next would be representative from the Faculty of Sociology and Anthropology, Assistant Professor Panarai Ustadpirat. She is the Director of the Center for Contemporary Social and Cultural Studies. เชิญค่ะอาจารย์
Thank you อาจารย์นำพรนะคะแล้วก็สวัสดีค่ะก็ briefly I would like to thank you Professor Saiful Akmal and Assistant Professor Melly Masni for accept our invitation to join a panel, and also most importantly อาจารย์อัมพรThen, who is one of our committee at the center, who provide arrange all this program to and make things happen, and also the Institute of East Asian Study, and especially Ajahn Anong Thipimon, the chair of the Center of Southeast Asian Study as the Institute of East Asian Studies. So, like Ajahn Chawat said, that the process of organizing this has happened in like over a course of less than a week. So it's very refreshing for us to have this chance to provide us as a center that focus on the study of contemporary studies, and the faculty mission to extend our work to connect with communities and international academic community as well. So thank you for everybody to join our program, and may I take this chance to promote our activity as well, because coincidentally this week we have like 4 activities at our department to promote our work, our faculty members' research, and also the outreach program. So this part will be in Thai นะคะ for สำหรับคนที่อาจจะสนใจกิจกรรมนะคะ Tomorrow will be พรุ่งนี้นะคะก็จะเป็นการนำเสนอผลงานวิจัยแล้วก็รับฟังเสียงของผู้มีส่วนได้เสียในโครงการวิจัย5 ปีหลังโควิดนะคะในมิติแรงงานครอบครัวและเพศสภาวะเสียงจากผู้หญิงในกลุ่มแรงงานใกล้ชิดนะคะนี่ก็เป็นงานของกรรมการของศูนย์อีกท่านหนึ่งก็คืออาจารย์ดร.ปณิธีบราวน์นะคะก็จะจัดที่ท่าพระจันทร์เหมือนกันแต่ที่ห้องประชุมประภาสอวยชัยนะคะที่ตึกอเนก1นะคะก็ท่านใดสนใจขอเชิญนะคะมีทั้งวันตั้งแต่ตอน 10 โมงถึงบ่าย 2นะคะแล้วก็ในวันพรุ่งนี้เหมือนกันนะคะที่รังสิตนะคะwe have a chance to welcome Professor Dr. Jonathan Mark Kenneyer from University of Wisconsin-Madison, who is an expert on the study of ancient stone bead manufacture. The workshop will be organized at Thammasat University Rangsit campus at the Thammasat University Museum นะคะก็อันนี้เป็นที่พิพิธภัณฑ์ธรรมศาสตร์นะคะแล้วก็ and on Friday there will be a talk on a phenomenology of landscape of the Kora Plateau and exploration of Buddhist hill and mountaintop sites นะคะthat will be happening in this same room on Friday. So anybody interested in so you can see there are a wide range of interest, academic interest provided by our outreach program at the department. So please check out our Facebook page at TU SocAnt, and you can see all the program. Thank you very much.
Thank you. ขอบคุณค่ะอาจารย์ Before we start the forum, I have to say special thanks to person who behind the scene.Two more, especially Kun Pui, Krong Kamon Ren Glin, who support us a lot from academic affairs of the Institute of East Asian Studies, and Kun Tan Rapi Panjaran at the Center for Contemporary Social and Cultural Study, the Faculty of Sociology and Anthropology, who prepare all of the things within 3 days. Okay, we are going to start the section. The purpose of today's talks or academic seminar is learning from people who are inside of the area of work, especially to professor from Aceh. Before they deliver the talk for 20 to 25 minutes, I'd like to introduce both of them. First, Professor Saiful Akmal. He's professor at the Faculty of Education and Teacher Training, Universitas Islam Negeri Arianari, Banda Aceh, Indonesia. Professor Saiful obtained master degree in applied linguistics from University of Liverpool, UK in 2007. He completed his doctoral studies in 2014 at Johann Wolfgang von Goethe University, Frankfurt, Germany, in the field of language and culture, from the same university but different department with me. Apart from teaching, he is also involved in the development sector during tsunami recovery and rehabilitation efforts in Aceh Community Development Program at AIPRD AUZ, Australian AIDS, and Aceh Society Task Force. He is also was an executive director of the Aceh Institute, and he was appointed as the chair of Germany Alumni Association. He is a senior program officer at the International Center for Aceh and Indian Ocean Studies, or ICAIOS, and returned an expert of GIS, Germany, in 2016 to 2018. Professor Saiful is active in initiating social foundations, such as establishing a digital literacy website for the youth. And he's the country expert for Varieties of Democracy Institute of the University of Oslo in Norway. And he is a researcher at Southeast Asian Study University in Frankfurt, 2012 to 2014. And he participated in the International Dean's Course and University Leadership Training by the ADE and the IES, Germany, and a participant in the Intercultural Course of Australian Indonesian Muslim Exchange Program from the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trades in Australia. Currently, Professor Saiful is selected as one of the young social scientists for Indonesian Academy of Young Scientists and served as coordinator for Center of Audit and Quality Assurance at Universitas Islam Negeri Ariani, Banda Aceh, Indonesia. The second speaker is Assistant Professor Melly Masni, MIR. She is an assistant professor at the Department of Political Science, the Faculty of Social and Government Science, Universitas Islam Negeri Arianri, Banda Aceh. She is also vice chair of the Refugee Research Center at university. And the research center is focusing on refugee and humanitarian issues. Now the center becomes a government partner to formulate policy in focus area. Assistant Professor Melly received MA from IR Monash University, Australia, specialization in government and security. Her BA also in IR from Yogyakarta University, Gajah Mada. Her certificate in social science and humanities from Saint Paul College, Université Campus de Paris, France, and the major is International Relations, Paris School of International Affairs. Moreover, there are more details and very important. She is a copy editor of QA journal, Ilmiah Peraduan, emphasize on contemporary Asian issues with interdisciplinary approaches. She's also a chair of Health, Environment, and Social Advocacy Division of Nasyatul Asia Aceh, which is a branch of the large organization operating in Aceh, Indonesia, focusing on women's empowerment and community development, tailoring programs to unique cultural and social contexts in Aceh. Associate Professor Melly published numbers of publications. At least she has 3 projects in a year. So They, they have very long CV, but I have to cut down. And you may see from my introduction that they have so many things to do. Apart from academics, they are also working for the community and collaborate with the government. So I like to invite the first speaker on the stage. You have 20 to 25 minutes, so the floor is yours.
Okay, first of all, thanks very much for your very warm welcome. Me and Ibu Meli are very much grateful for your warm welcome. And first of all, we would like to thank everyone here, especially the organizers of this seminar. Both from the Institute for East Asian Studies, please correct me if I'm wrong, and the Center for Social and Cultural Studies, the Faculty of Social and Anthropology. It's a great pleasure for everyone to learn together and share our experience for a betterment of the community. So my talk will be a very sexy theme at this moment, especially about the refugee, and this is what has been going on in Aceh since, I think, since the last part of 2023. Yeah, so there are so many refugees coming to especially the northern and eastern shore of Aceh. I would like to start with my background briefly. I think Dr. Ampon, Associate Professor Dr. Ampon has informed all of us that I would say myself is a scholar-based activist previously, but lately I think I started to work with the youth as well, because I think we need to do something with the youth to raise some awareness and something like the peace building, and started to talk something which is no longer in the conflict related issues. So we started to discuss maybe we're not going to use the post-conflict or anything related to conflict, because it's been 20 years now from the signing of the MOU. Can we go to the first slide? Yeah. Here. Right. So if you see the map, I think it's very helpful for us to see, in terms of helicopter view of where Aceh is exactly located. The last time I went to Prince of Songkla University, I had a very good presence of audience, and they know Aceh culturally and maybe with the same collective identity, if I may use Achan Ampon terms, but they don't know exactly where Aceh really is, but they know the three keywords coming from our province: the Islam or the Sharia Islam, and the post-conflict, and the disaster, tsunami. Those are the three keywords that we are seeing from afar, at least. Yeah. So the refugee were mostly stranded in the northern and eastern seashores of Aceh. But lately, in the last 2 months, there are still, issues about refugees being transported to, I would say, to Aceh Jaya in the direction of the West Aceh. So this is something which is unusual. Yeah, because the north and the east seashores of Aceh is close to Malaysia, which is supposedly the place that the refugee would like to reach. But on the western part, it's directly to the big ocean. Yeah. So wait. Yeah. So. Right button. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Here. Okay. And Ibu Meli will discuss about the pre and post 2023 something about refugee. She is specialized in that field. I'm more like NGO activist and did something with that. I'm concerning about the language, the cultural identity and something. So this is the news from 2017 where everybody is talking about Rohingya and the language of acceptance is clearly there. So, and I would say that at that time, not only the Islamic scholars or the clerics who were open to the idea of saving the Rohingya, mostly basically all components of the society were not against the Rohingya because the so-called similar identity and something. The Acehnese has been in severe conditions as well. They know the feeling, going in exile or being chased or tortured or something. So this is the thing that we experience in before 2023, especially in 2015 and 2017. So big audience showed up during the event organized by inter-community organizers, yeah, and one of the most prominent Islamic scholars said that I'm going to attend that session. So basically they called up for a big show of participants from the community, and they encourage the participant to save some money and donate some money and blah blah blah, just like what they did to the Palestinian cause. Yeah. You see here as well. So the collective identity is the Muslims. We were in conflict, and they saw that this is something that is need to be done regarding the Rohingya. So it's very clear banner over there. And this is what we have just almost 6 months ago, which I would say I personally extremely disagree with this. And I will share you some experience in the field. Who are this group? So this is the banner. I don't know if you happen to had experience in students, youth activism and so on. The color says all, the red, the black, and the way they made the banner. Maybe we can make a tentative preliminary conclusion about that. Yeah, and some issues then showed up. This is where they protested against the inception of the Rohingya in front of the governor buildings. Yeah, I think it was in November or December something. This November was still okay, but December is going was a culmination. So they are very focused on, the language is very focused on the Rohingya, but here is an extended language use. So they included UNHCR, IOM, and all the supporters of the Rohingya, and they condemn all the organizations supporting Rohingya and persons who are supporting Rohingya, including me myself, flooded comments, hates. Everything was on my Instagram, right? I need to hide it some way or the other, but I will show it somewhere. So these two group of students mainly operating for the Rohingya case. They're not against any other issues. So, for example, they use, I don't know what's the English word for the jacket, for the university jacket. We call it alma mater. I think it's the same here. But they're not the formal representation of the students' body. And they're not from the state well-known and popular universities. They are coming from different, so to say, students' bodies representation of the private and less popular, less known universities. And most of them are still, they're having problems graduating, blah, blah, blah. So this is the group of students who did the protest. And one of them is from my university, was about to drop out, and we sent it to other, private university where they need more students or something. And he was involved in some cases. Some accuses this group are, heavily involved in, crime-related activities, but it's not yet being formal. It's an informal discussion. So let's say that among the activists, they say everybody knows who is that or something. And what worse is they did it, with anarchy. I still remember a special report from Al Jazeera, and it was very bad. I feel very bad as a human, and as a academia. And I decided to stay quiet for a while in November. I tried to get past my idea to the, but then I could not hold it anymore, and I made a statement, a strong statement in the media. So this is, for me, that we share the similar identity. When this is a very, I think, the picture of the year. Look, the Rohingya is praying, the very basic human rights, praying. And suddenly they came up, very well prepared, with 2 trucks, ready to, they say, we need you to be deported. And I phoned someone in the immigration, can they be deported? I know nothing about this, but can they be deported? No, it's already in Indonesia. We need to help them, but we need to help them as we can. So I was very furious to see this picture. And this is what the police did. They received reports that, at that time I didn't have the picture, but I still very curious to see, a big banner, with unorganized writings. They say we refuse Rohingya. The government should take care of us first, as the inlander or something. So, and it's happened in some city and villages in Banda Aceh and also in the surrounding capital city. So there were 21 anti-Rohingya protests held in Aceh during that time. And this is what I would like to come into my point. The situation in Aceh was very politically influenced by the elections. So the change of scenery and language and acceptance and condemnation and so on, I would say it's strongly related the political election and the political backdrop and the election. So this is the news from the Kompas.com, one of the most famous broadsheet newspaper in Indonesia. This has become a political community, political issue. This is the former acting governor of the Aceh province. He is a military person. He is an acting governor. So he's a bit neutral in statement. But sometimes when you see this, you see the same patterns of language from the national government up to the provincial government. So they're in line. And we'll see now what's the statement of the president. So there are two key words from the president's speech at that time. So we got confused, and I spoke to some persons working at the IOM and the UNHCR. It happened to be my friend and my students, and they said we got confused with the statement because it's a formal statement, and there is a confusion. Is this a human smuggling or human trafficking? They said it's different. I don't know. I'm not the expert on that, but again, this statement is raising another issue in the case of Rohingyas, a refugee in Aceh. This is another statement from the Defense Ministry, the upcoming presidents, the newly elected presidents. So it's not fair. So basically, it says it's not fair to accept all the refugees. So, and the issues revolves around, we need to prioritize the Acehnese instead of the Rohingyas. So that is the bottom line. And this is in line, either at the national level, the provincial levels, and at the city council level. Maybe they're not that making many comments, but it's there. This is one of my juniors. He was nominated to run for the MP. He just been elected to one of the NGO activists, Panglima Laut. Yeah, it's a cultural NGO organization focusing on the prosperity of the fishermen. Yeah. He started the campaign by saying we need to help, we need to be a human, and he immediately, being bullied online. Please do not vote to them who says they are pro-Rohingya. If they are supporting Rohingya, please do not vote for them. It's circulating amongst the social media heaps, issues. It's going on TikTok and blah, blah, blah. And I said to them, look, you're going to fail. And he's failed. He failed. And some other young activists ran for the MP. They prefer, after learning from his case, they prefer to shut down and be quiet. Look, it's not that strategic at this moment. It's very complicated. I cannot speak about that. Yeah. And this is my statement, a very strong statement. The second one, I saw that no one was talking about that at the university level, at the mainstream local media, unless one person, Professor Dr. Humam Hamid. He's a senior figure at the university and also at the NGO. So you see the NGO is not against the Rohingya, especially the scholar-based NGO. And I follow up the other day and I said to the journalist, can I release this statement? I know your position is not easy. And he made some inputs, and it's up to you, but my main point is the title. Can you get out with the title so the students protest and action to forcefully deal with the Rohingya refugee is anarchist and shameful. It's shameful. It's for me, it's unacceptable. Yeah, I've never saw that kind of action before during my time as a student activist, even during the conflict. No, never. So this is then, I tried to do something. I was the IMAP alumni, the Australian Indonesian Muslim Exchange Program. And we said something because the hoax is going on, the disinformation is taking place every day. And only 1 hour before the discussion and the seminar starts, my Instagram account was being flooded with someone all over Indonesia saying the same things at once. So in 30 minutes, they posted almost the same comments. Look, if you are supporting Rohingya, just take some Rohingyas to your home, feed them, educate them, raise them. And then some other says, look, you are supporting Rohingya. You are, here it says, we're not supporting Rohingya. Please do not let them into Indonesian shore or lands because we will be in trouble. And some others, if you are supporting Rohingya, you're supporting Israel. So this is something that's happening at that time. And I checked the accounts, is mostly fake account. And I didn't know that. So and it's not happening to me only. It's happening to other speakers. The guy in the middle was formerly my student. He graduated from Qatar, I think. I think he wrote something to the ABC that this is going to be a hotly debated issue in the upcoming election, especially the provincial election. Learning from the case of Azwir Nazar, who failed to become the MP because of supporting Rohingya. So this is the hoax. Yeah, and the Ministry of Information should make a clarification, like this is related to the presidential election. You know, one of the candidate was accused of taking advantage of the Rohingya, so the Rohingya will be coming to vote for him, just like when the Chinese will be coming and vote for the other or the prior candidates. So it's a similar way of social media hoax and disinformation. This is one of my colleagues, Reza Indria, the director of IKS. He said something that, in the sense of humanity, we need to immediately help. Yeah, we need, as a human, this is a humanitarian issue, we need to help. And everybody agrees on that. So, and this is the other college from another state Islamic university. He said we used to help, so he's an anthropologist as well. He's from Ibu Melis, same university, Gajah Mada. He said something that we used to help the Rohingya because we have the collective identity, like you said. But no, I think he was the one who was fed by the hoax and blah, blah, blah. And he says, no, they did something bad. When we give them rice, they throw it away. So it's going on. I still remember some of the cases. A BBC report then clarified that. So, for example, there is a case that the Rohingya reject the distribution of food and throw it away. There's only one or two cases, and some activists clarify that, the contrast. And then some other hoax are also included that they are raping a girl somewhere. So it's a serious accusation, and the LBH, the law, the legal aid organization, the NGO activist says there's nothing about that. Maybe some flirting or something, but it's not a rape. It's definitely something else. So I made a project with my students. I also teach at 3 faculties. So I'm based at the language and education. I'm specialized in social linguistics and language identity, language and politics and something. But I also teach at the Faculty of Political Science. And we made a project. We invited the UNHCR representative. We invited Ibu Smeli, director, Refugee Center. And I think it's a good moment for us that university should be the one who promote, something good. We need to be in the right side of the history, like everybody says, and we need to educate people. We need to know, all the instruments that we need to address this issue. So it was a good session, and I think they come up with another program. I think ICAIOS will I think they started the project with the UNHCR or IM, I don't know, with the Wali Nangro. They went to any major universities and promote that we need to raise our awareness about the refugee, about the humanitarian crisis, about what do they call this, philanthropy or something. And they will do that next month in the postgraduate school of our university. They did it once at the North Aceh Malikusala University. Someone texted me last night, let's do this. Okay, I said. So he already published. He is a senior journalist in Jakarta. He used to be in Aceh, but now he's based in Jakarta. And he always very eager to see me sharing something about refugee. And I think Bu Meli and me will be taking part in this, in his next books. The Sorrow of the Stateless Rohingya Refugee, an Indonesian Experience. I don't know, maybe we're working something with the title. So the key takeaway, the stance towards Rohingya refugee changed over the time, mainly caused by the election preparation, campaign or something, government statements, and disinformation. And it elaborates the general picture that language is centrally involved in, the language of dehumanizing the refugees. So language has become a central and instrumental part of showing identity and also political stance. So the identity of the stateless Rohingya refugee was limited. So it's not properly discussed unless at the university, and we are doing now. So previously they had, share like, books that Rohingya is a Southeast Asian Palestinian, something like that before, but now there is no discussion. Why do they run? What happened to the ethnic before? And then we have this, and we hope that now the public will become more aware of the real situation, and we hope to do something. And that's why the refugee center is being set up. So that would be my closing slides. Thank you very much for your attention and attendance. And I would like to see some comments and also ideas from you, either online or offline. Thank you very much. Sawadee-ka.
สวัสดีค่ะ ขอบคุณค่ะ Terima kasih. Thank you so much, Professor Saiful, for your talk. And we also gain more pictures, the updated pictures of Aceh society, which many of you, Acehnese, are confronted. This is a big struggle, of course, as academics who work with the community. And when you are on the right side, so you have to adjust whether that side that you chose would be facing with the difficulties in the future as well. And when the university is the location of the center or working on refugee issue, so this is a challenge I know that you may face until today. From the perspective of Professor Saiful, he also carry key takeaway that you may see from the screen at the last point of his talk. We can discuss on that, but before we go further on the discussion, I'd like to invite Assistant Professor Meli Basni for presenting, sharing your experience, including your updated research or the current research that you have conducted, including as a vice chair of the center. So the first yours.
Okay, still, Thank you so much for this great opportunity. Thank you for Thammasat University for having me and Pak Saipul here. It's such a great pleasure we can share our experiences in working on this issue, very important issue nowadays in Aceh, to be honest. And what I'm going to talk in this forum is more likely quite similar with what already been said by Pak Saipul Akmal. Maybe I will also display or demonstrate some issues brought by media, particularly one of local media in Aceh. This is a long standing media in Aceh and very popular in Aceh, and it was SerambiNews.com. It is an online portal media, but it's basically, it was previously a printed media, but now they moved to the online version. And yeah. So, well, this is basically the result of what I'm doing on my research in regards to Rohingya representation in the media that I mentioned before. And it's not done yet fully, actually. But yeah, I will just present you some key takeaways that I can present now. And how can I do this research is basically I try to collect all of the news with keywords Rohingya in SerambiNews.com from 2015 to 2023. So yeah, of course, it's like a common knowledge for us that Indonesia itself, Aceh has become a key location for Rohingya refugee. Yeah, where we can see the arrival waves of Rohingya from 2015 and until now, actually. But I will just limit this research until 2023 because it's a complete year. And then actually Rohingya came to Aceh before 2015 as well, but the biggest wave I think we can see in 2015. And also Aceh got recognition as a society which accepted Rohingya at that moment, where other countries such as Malaysia at that moment rejected them. And then we can see this, the waves of Rohingya's arrival in Aceh. And yeah, this is the distribution of news articles on the Rohingya issue in SerambiNews.com. We can see from the graph the search of the Rohingya issues were in 2015 and 2023. Yeah, in 2015, yeah, the blue ones represent the news in 2015, and the orange ones is the 2023 Rohingya issues. So we can see obviously that resistancy, yeah, the resistancy themes rose, yeah, dramatically, yeah, in 2023, in which in 2015 we couldn't see any resistancy issues in regards to Rohingya's arrival in Aceh. And we can also see several issues that emerged in 2023, which were known in 2015, such as Rohingya's behaviors, for instance, and then arrival search, and the clarifications, and Aceh experience. So those are areas which could not be found in 2015, but can be seen in 2023. Yeah. And now you can see the percentage distribution of Rohingya news themes both in 2015 and 2023. And in 2023, you can see that the solidarity themes was the most the most issues being released at that moment. And in 2023, it was the resistance. Yeah. Well, actually, conducting this research, I got a lot of information. Yeah, I got a lot of very important key findings. Yeah, but yeah, for instance, we can see obviously that there was a significant shift from solidarity in 2015 to resistance in 2023. Yeah. And also, there was an increase in coverage, especially on resistance and refugee arrival search, highlighting the intensified Rohingya crisis. So it was basically the news that was coming up most often in 2023. And also, the resistance itself was coming from students and also from the society. And also from politicians. So there are some politicians which also, demonstrate their positions in this Rohingya issue. For instance, you can see this one is in responding Rohingya issues, Prabowo, the newly elected president, at that time he was the Minister of Defense. He said that we still have like Indonesian people and they were poor. He said something like that. And then Sandiaga Uno also came to Aceh because he was anxious about the arrival of Rohingya could affect the tourism sector of Aceh. And also Mahfud MD, he was the Minister of Coordinator Minister of Politics, Law and Human Rights. He said that Rohingya did not want to go out from Indonesia. So yeah, aside of the national politicians, actually we also got statements from politicians, provincial politicians, local politicians, but they mostly appear in the public in 2015 when they want to show their solidarity to Rohingya, their support to Rohingya. But in 2023, we couldn't really see any local politician anymore who said their support to Rohingya. And yeah, as I mentioned before, there is a search in article discussing refugee arrivals and refugee conditions. For instance, they use some kind of word like duh pengungsi Rohingya datang lagi. I don't know how to say it in English, but it's like duh. It means like complaining why Rohingya refugee came again in Indonesia, for instance. And then the other new themes that emerged in 2023 is concern over negative behaviors attributed to Rohingya. Yeah. So, for instance, this one, Rohingya was mad and throw away the, how to say sembako, like the goods that have been contributed by the society, they would throw away to the ocean by the Rohingya. And then also Rohingya was complaining about the portion of the rice, which was very little and couldn't satisfy them. And also the news mentioning that Rohingya poop in a society's lands a lot. And then also Rohingya frankly spoke that they want to live and stay in Indonesia. These are new themes that emerged in 2023. And what I can learn from these changes happening in 2015 to 2023, I assume that it's with bandwagon effect. So bandwagon effect is a psychological phenomenon where individuals adopt behaviors, beliefs, or opinions primarily because others are doing so. And media coverage can also contribute to this bandwagon effect because they can create a perceived consensus influencing individual attitudes and behaviors. And also, just like Pak Saiful said before, that if you want to say that we are pro to Rohingya, a lot of people will attack us making us to stop talking about supporting Rohingya. And nowadays, it's more free for us to speak that we don't want Rohingya to stay in Aceh rather than supporting them. And how to apply this bandwagon effect theory to Rohingya crisis, we can see that there is in 2015, media coverage emphasized solidarity with Rohingya refugee, and it created a bandwagon effect where a lot of people showed their solidarity as well to the Rohingya at that moment. We could see a lot of support for Rohingya at the moment from politicians, from schools, universities, from NGOs, and also from the religious figures. And by 2023, media narrative shifted to resistance, initiating a new bandwagon effect where resistance to Rohingya presence became the prevailing sentiment. Because it's easier for us to say that we resist Rohingya rather than supporting them. And we can see a lot of demonstrations happening in 2023. And it happens in many areas of Aceh. Like this one, The first one, it was student demonstration in Sabang. And then followed by student demonstration in Eastern Aceh, in Biren, in Banda Aceh, and this one is also in Banda Aceh. Oh, it's the same, sorry. So, the effect here can be seen clearly here, where there was a student demonstration in one part of Aceh, and then it can be followed by other part of Aceh. And also happen in society level, not only in the student level, where we can see a lot of demonstrations happening in many parts of Aceh. So basically that's what I can talk to you and my presentations about the result of my research. Hopefully it will give you some kind of enlightenment. And also, I'm also open with any input, suggestions, because I'm still learning in this area. So thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you very much, Assistant Professor Melly, for your talk and updated from your research that is still going on, right? Now we are going to open the floor for discussion. I got the notice from the live stream. Actually, one of the discussant is already online, and he would like to probably propose the ideas and question to both of the speakers. And then I also would like to request all of your comments, suggestion even, or question, and then we can discuss on that. As we learned from two speakers regarding the complexity of geopolitics, it's not that only context or the idea or the perspective, but actually we also learned that the community even have solidarity with the refugee who have collective identity, but thing turns into another page from solidarity to resistance, as Melly said. And we also learned that in Thailand, basically we have so many refugees. We talk about the migration, we talk about the transition of democracy and the situation of politics that involve within the issues of society, issues within our own countries. It's not only in Southeast Asia, but we can see the tendency that how people involve with politics, how the impact of the social media, which is drive very fast on influence, and it becomes tool for shaping the new agenda of our current situation or in the society. I think the discussant from the Zoom is already there, right? And then I'd like to invite Ekarat Sabut. He's the one who basically would like to be with us, but he's on the journey in the south of Thailand, and he's now working with UNODC. And I do not want to stop your people here, I mean in the meeting room to talk, but because Ekarat is going to have another forum, and then we give him priority to talk first, and then we come back to our forum in here in Thammasat. So Ekarat, you can start to discuss with us.
Thank you very much, Professor Amporn, and thank you so much. The inputs from two professors, Professor Saifu and Professor Melly. It's my honor to be participating virtually. Unfortunately, I could not be with you physically. I hope you can hear me well. I'd just like to give a brief observation based on the lectures inputs provided by two professors from the basically perspective of outsider. I think as our resource persons have shared with us, Aceh has been, significantly affected by anti-Rohingya sentiment. And I think to our observation, this has been driven and fueled by a wave of misinformation and hate speech that takes place in the online space. I think we are familiar that historically, Aceh has been a place of refuge for Rohingyas, right? As professors have mentioned, and I think many of us in Thailand, we have recollected that when many countries, including Thailand, in ASEAN, rejected to embrace and rescue Rohingyas when they were stranded in the sea, it was the seafarer from Aceh that came forward and rescued the Rohingyas. And this actually, the humanitarian sentiment, the value that inherent in Indonesian and Acehese society, it really showed a great sympathy and support that the community extended to this population. However, again, based on the recent phenomenon, I think we have also seen that this welcoming spirit is now under threat. And based on the lecture, I think the turning point is that we have observed a coordinated campaign of hate that portray Rohingya refugees as criminals and also threat to the national security of the society of Indonesia as a whole, not just only in Aceh. And on social media platform like TikTok, anti-Rohingya videos, have gained millions of views that spread false information, narrative that incite hatred. As part of our work, we work closely with CSO, academia, and government think tanks in ASEAN, including Indonesia and Malaysia, and based on the intel and research findings from our counterparts, we have learned that, we have found that this campaign, although appearing organic, is highly coordinated, with fake accounts and misleading posts, which amplify hatred and hostility. It's important to note that this incident was not isolated, but in fact a result of this sustained online campaign against the Rohingyas. As Professor Saiful said, his Instagram got flooded by fake accounts, and the sympathizers, got attacked and challenged. For example, take Rohingya home and feed them. Surprisingly, these incidents were not observed, were in fact observed in Thailand back in 2012. That those people who expressed sympathy were challenged, were attacked, were actually asked to take home Rohingyas and feed them. So this is something that is not really new. We have seen this during the past decade when we started seeing the phenomenon of both people. And this impact, of this growing hostility extends beyond Aceh, because according to, our friends in Malaysia, to some extent in Thailand, but particularly in Malaysia, we have seen that the hate groups in the country, start using this anti-Rohingya sentiment in Aceh to justify, anti-Rohingya sentiment in Malaysia. That look, Acehnese used to be hospitable, they were very kind, they used to take Rohingyas to their home, and now what happened? They are being harassed, they're being attacked by the refugees. So it's important for us, to stop them from arriving in Malaysia. So this is something that we have to really work together at a transboundary regional level. And from the perspective of outsider, I think we have learned a few things from the lectures from the two professors. I think that is the power of misinformation with rapid spread of false in online space that exacerbated the anti-Rohingya sentiment. This really shows that there is a strong need for media literacy, fact-checking mechanisms, to counteract harmful narrative. And UNODC will also work closely with the platform like Meta, Facebook, to really monitor such, harmful content. But again, this is something that would not be very impactful without, broader support from the society as a whole. So academia, education sector, we need to play important role in this space. And of course, the role of social media like TikTok and Facebook have become a breeding ground, for hate speech and xenophobia. We also learned, on humanitarian responsibility. Of course, it is essential to restore the humanitarian tradition that is inherent in Indonesian and Japanese society, which is now under threat. But at the same time, we also are cognizant of the need to balance local interests with humanitarian obligations and find sustainable solutions that respect the dignity and rights of all people. This is dilemma, and this is something that the progressive, in the society will need to come up with the progressive narrative, to really foster the, sentiment of resilience, to restore back the positive values back to the, Indonesian and Acehnese society. We have also learned that the hatred, is transboundary, as I mentioned a while ago, that there is a spillover effect. The hate group in neighboring countries are using uprising in Aceh to justify and fuel hate against Rohingyas in their countries. And these risks are actually normalizing xenophobia and hatred and intolerance, which could destabilize communities and undermine the values of unity and diversity. And in fact, the humanitarian values, diversity, and unity are inherent in Islam, right? How do we actually restore the positive interpretation of not just only Islam or religious texts, but also cultural traditions in Indonesia, in our society? in light of humanity, justice and peace to serve those who are vulnerable, and not to lose sight that in fact the situation of Rohingyas, right, is in fact the result of the injustice that is happening in Myanmar. It's not just only Rohingyas that are affected by the authoritarian governance, but also different ethnic groups, regardless of faith, ethnicity, and that also requires the collective efforts of ASEAN and Indonesia in the past play a very important role, in positive diplomacy, right? How do we continue working on that? So in conclusion, it is imperative that we address the root causes of this rising hostility, not just only, the hate group in the society, but also the root cause back in Myanmar, right? Without our intervention, engagement positively in the country, the region will continue to be affected by the influx of refugees, not just only Rohingyas, but other ethnic groups that continue to suffer as a result of this protracted and prolonged conflict. And it's also important for us to promote the accurate information, foster empathy and understanding to ensure that our actions reflect our commitment to human rights and dignity. So, the situation of Rohingya in Aceh is a test of our values and humanity. So this is the brief observation, and I think we can continue our conversation in the afternoon. And I'm not very sure whether this is relevant, but I have talked to Professor Ampon that since Aceh has a long experience, in peace process, that could also be beneficial to the ongoing efforts, towards peace in southern Thailand. I think a lot of things that we could learn from, especially when it comes to the issue of, DDR, the disarmament, demobilization, and reintegration. Thailand is in the process, of promoting the peace dialogue. And recently, as a progress of this peace dialogue, we have what we call Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, or JPP. And under this JPP, there are three key pillars. One is violence reduction, public consultation, and political solution, right? And under the violence reduction, that is the provision on rehabilitation, reintegration, which is pretty much resonant with disarmament, demobilization, and reintegration. And I think learning from other experience can be helpful in terms of how the ex-combatants, could be engaged in different stages, right? From pre-agreement, during negotiations, and post-agreement, and how, this could be implemented. This is the area that we perhaps, can learn from Aceh. I understand that different academic institutions, including PSU in the South, have been working together with, institutions in Aceh on this. But I think this is the opportunity, since at the policy level, this is something that being, receptive to, and I think we should try to capitalize on this in maximizing what Aceh would offer to Thailand. Thank you very much.
Thank you ขอบคุณมากค่ะ very much Kun Ekarat for your conclusion at the end, but you also provide us a lot regarding from your observation regarding the issues that both of the speakers kindly share with us. There are so many points, and I like to ask whether the speakers would like to respond, or would you like to give or take the comments or discussion along with the audience or friends here. Would you like to have a short remarks? Okay, take question. Okay, thank you. I hope we can take this opportunity to carry the points from Ekaraj, and we can discuss in the afternoon when he mentioned the afternoon, which means that among the team in Thammasat, we are going to have the plan to make collaboration with Aceh, friends from the university in Aceh. So we will not stop here. We are going to work together in the long run. At the moment, I'd like to hear from friends here, including from live stream, your question, comments, or basic element that you would like to discuss or talk with our speakers. The first one from MA students here, Kunnat. Who else would like to talk in the first round? Okay, Nat, you can go ahead.
Okay, let me introduce myself first. My name is Natawat. I'm the master's student in anthropology here in Thammasat University. It's a very insightful information that I learned today because I actually know very little about Aceh and about the Rohingya as well. But I have two additional questions for you speakers to, if you can clarify more for me. So the first thing is, do you know about the condition of Rohingya? Do they plan to stay long and integrate themselves into the Indonesian society? Or they want to move somewhere else later? And how do the government treat them and plan to take care of them in the future? And then the second thing is I want to share that in Thailand there was a resistance against the Rohingya as well, but it's mostly based on the religion because we have different religion, right? I mean, yeah, we have resistance against other group of refugees as well, like Karen, but it's not as strong as Rohingya, I think, because in Rohingya we normally say, oh, they are Muslim and they give birth to many people, something like that. So Buddhist extremists are afraid of them in the first place. But in Indonesia, you share the same religion, which is Islam, right? And then I heard that I knew that Islam teaches that about the solidarity among the fellow Muslims as well. So regarding the resistance, what do the religion leaders say about this? I mean, do they play some roles in influencing other citizens to feel more welcome to the Rohingya people, or do they support the movement to let the Rohingya go out of the country, and why? Thank you.
Okay, you have 2 points, two main points, but there are so many interrelated issues that you can discuss further on. So the floor again to both of you. The mic is there.
Okay. Thank you very much for your enthusiasm. Yeah, I would say enthusiasm. Thank you for Mr. Sabur for the Ikrash. Yeah, Ikrash Sabur for the comment and observation. I agree with I like the statement of normalizing xenophobia is not nice. It's happening at the same time as all over the world. If you see the results of election, I'm not political scientist, but if you see the results in European snap-up elections, if you see the situations all over the places, I think we are going into that direction, and we should resist against this kind of non-humanitarian stance. On your questions, the first question is always the issue in Aceh, but Ibu Mele will elaborate furthermore. As far as I can remember, I also talk a little bit about the regulations. I think this is where we need to cooperate and coordinate more, especially if we are going to make a future research. How do the national, the local, and the provincial regulations can be can accommodate the Rohingya, or not only the Rohingya, any other type of refugees, for example. I only know a little bit that the Indonesian state does not adhere to the so-called what do you call it? Yeah, yeah, the conventions. So they will not take Rohingya or any other ethnicity as an asylum seekers and refugees. They will only allow the refugee once they are stranded in Indonesia. They should. It's an obligation to take care of the refugee. The question now is, how long should we support the refugee? Is not very clear in the and it's like I've read the regulation. It's really an emergency settings, I would say. So there's not much we can do. That's on one side. So there's I've spoken to some representative of IOM and UNHCR how the coordination with the local and provincial government and the national parliaments going. I think they did say something like, we are trying to revise the regulation, but it's not easy because sometimes politicians sees this every 5 years. If this is interesting to them, it's not easy. But they already started discussing this at the national level to do some revisions that we can offer more balance versus anticipation of the case. On the other hand, your question is whether Rohingya will stay or go. According to the regulations, no, they should go. So that's why Indonesia is often viewed as the transit to Malaysia. That's what they say. So I personally think that if Indonesia is the transit, why should we so scared about it? The Rohingya, but again, there is a political elections coming on, and this could be like the newspapers, it's a commodity. Either they are pro or against. It's not sincere in a way that they are capitalizing this for specific purposes. So they will definitely go one way or the other, but it's not clear, in terms of the handling. It's not very specific. I'm not saying it's not clear. It's clear, but it's not specific. So for example, I had someone working in the immigration. I spoke to them, and basically we tried with the students' organizations to put all the parties together. So mostly the discussion revolves around the UNHCR, the IOM, and the NGO, because they're supporting the case. But the government is a bit reluctant. We can understand because the situation is not yet stabilized. They need to have a definitive presidents and governors to talk it in a profound way. So they will definitely go. The handling is the problem. I mean, once they are stranded, there is a discussion. Who was the one supposedly let them in? That's the discussion in immigration. But the immigration, once they are in our territory, we need to help them one way or the other. The problem is we don't have a really good coordination and mechanism once they are stranded. So the case that the Achenese community is willing to help, but they have some constraints, in terms of economic, in terms of blah, blah, blah. So obviously the community would not be able to handle this very well. It's not a coordinated effort like the social media attacks. It's better than handling the on-field refugee. So that's the issue. So for example, I spoke to them. Why did they against? So the biggest part and portion of the refugee is on the north and eastern parts. So in Banda Aceh, near Banda Aceh, in the Greater Aceh district, in East Aceh, in North Aceh. So basically, there's a sea trading legally or illegally is taking place as well. So the issue is that when they distribute this, I would firstly think that the government would like to distribute this equally because it's not going to collect the refugee and put them in one place, yeah. But they're going to distribute, and they are coordinating between immigration offices in every provinces. So that's why we have also refugees in North Sumatra. And I say to them, all the refugees coming to other parts of Indonesia are coming from us mostly, they say. It's mostly coming from Aceh. So they are having refugees originally stranded in Aceh, North Sumatra, Riau, mostly in Sumatra, but the biggest blah, blah, blah. And they feel safe, probably. But in that case, people are talking about whether they're going to continue to Australia. And that is where the issue is going to take a more another level of complexity. So I don't know if the Australian would like to have them or would like to select them or whatever, but they do have the mechanism like the Malaysian. So definitely, as far as I can say, is they're not going to stay in Aceh, but how long is not, yeah, it's not clear, yeah. And then the ability of the government and the CSO, and especially the community himself, is very limited. So the second question regarding the religious figures stance, yeah. Currently there is no direct resistance or negligence from the Islamic scholars, for example, but they're not saying things clear as well, like the academia, like we should support, it's a humanitarian, but after the incident that I commented on the newspaper, the leader of the Islamic Scholars of Aceh Union or Association, I think he went to the place and talked to the refugee. It's a good sign, but I would say it's not enough, because he holds the authority to talk and to initiate dialogue. Yeah. But it's rather complicated, considering maybe we can see another atmosphere after the inauguration of the president and the governors, which will be at the end of this year. But on the other hand, the CSO group, including the Islamic NGO and so on, the academia, they did things, but rarely publicized because of it's against the mainstream. So they did like Ibu Meli's organization. They did psychosocial programs with the community, and in my campus there's also it's a personal effort, but it's being coordinated very well, small but meaningful. They make a language class because they simply cannot speak the locals, and they need to do it, and mostly because they were they were on the sea for almost for almost they were on the run from the beginning, so that's why they are having problems on the level of attitude and something, because they've never seen, for example, toilets. But if we say things like that, you are UNHCR guy. And talking about shelter, refugee shelters, they are being accused of having something more luxurious than the locals. So they did something, but rarely publicized, but they did something. Language, education, trainings, psychosocial, giving foods and something, and they're still there, not much, but it's being distributed to some other small places. And there are rejections from the local community, not because they are, I would say, against the refugee, but maybe they have a very limited capacity to handle the refugee. And I don't know, because maybe the government also did not the capacity and the instruments properly to address that. But I can imagine how hard their life will be if they should handle the refugee alone, the community, because it's normally it's being given to one particular village near the coast, right? And mostly they are under the poverty lines, so to say. So that would be my takes on your questions. I hope could give you an overview of what maybe Bumeli would like to add.
Well, in regards with your questions about Rohingyas planned for the future, this is also the question that I asked to them. And they clearly stated that they want to continue to other countries where they can get a better living condition and also where they can work. Indonesia, of course, because Indonesia doesn't ratify the 1951 Refugee Convention. Refugees aren't allowed to work in Indonesia. And based on the conversations that I had with the refugees, I can understand that they also understand that situation that they can't work in Indonesia. But I recalled a moment where I also talked to Rohingyas children, and I asked them, "Do you want to live longer in Indonesia?" They said yes, because what? I can imagine the mind of the children. Yeah, they said that we are living in very good condition here in Indonesia, and do you know what better living condition that they refer to now? They are living in the basement of our public building, and they said that it's better living condition for them. And it was so, for me, so sad to hear that, yeah, because they cannot imagine what is better conditions for normal people have. That's only better living conditions that they can imagine because they already lived in Bangladesh, in Cox's Bazar, and they were being kidnapped, tortured in Cox's Bazar based on their stories. So, and then I said to them, if once media ask you about this, please never say that, because it can be constructed in the media. It can be bad. It can be manipulated. That they said, oh, Rohingya wants to stay longer in Indonesia. It can be bad. A lot of people will respond negatively to that statement. So please don't say that anymore, even though you are happy now living in the basement. I said that. And then your second question, yeah, about religious figures in Aceh response to the resistance. Yeah, I would say that they're quite neutral in this issue. Yeah, when the biggest resistance ever happened in Banda Aceh, where students expelled them from the basement that I mentioned before, and then took them with the trucks to I forget governmental office at that moment. And I read a statement from a religious figure. He said that the brutality, the abusement aren't tolerated. So yeah, the violence cannot be tolerated, but they didn't really clearly said about whether we can resist to them if we didn't do violent things. You know what I mean? And then, but they also said that the religious figure also said that it's very understandable. Yeah, the response shown by the Achenese people, because the national government didn't really take care of the Rohingya. So it depends, it really fully depends on the society, where society also face difficulties in life. Like Aceh itself, Achenese society is the most, the poorest region in Sumatra, actually. So maybe that kind of thing. And after the incidents, I also asked my students, what do you think about resistance, about the resistance? Yeah. And I said, yeah, it's good that they did that, because we are not that rich to help others. The students said that. And then I asked again them, do you feel any change in your life? Yeah. Before and after Rohingya came to our land? And they cannot answer that because they don't really feel the change after the Rohingya came to us. Like maybe our living conditions getting worse after we accept the refugees coming to our land, for instance. So I would say that the bandwagoning effects really matters at the moment, even though even though the issue didn't really affect us, but because of the issue being spread all over Aceh, people felt that they also the issue will also affect them, something like that, even though they didn't really sure what's happening with the Rohingya people. One of my family asking, why Rohingya came to us? Why don't they stay at their country? Is that so? It indicates that they don't really understand what happens to Rohingya. They just know that they want to come to us and maybe they want to live with us. But we are in a bad condition now. We can help. We cannot live along with them. So something like that. Hopefully, yeah, can give you some kind of context here.
Sure. Yeah. I like to see people who would like to contribute your remarks. We still have about 5 to 10 minutes left. We have two friends who raised their hands and would like to share with the speakers. Please introduce yourself, and then we talk about it later.
Hello, my name is Steven. I'm from the United States. I had two questions. You said that Aceh is known to be a transit for the refugees, but say they would like to stay in Indonesia. Will the Indonesian government allow them to become citizens, or would they force them out? And how come it seems that Indonesian people are more hesitant to helping out the refugees more than Palestine?
Yeah, before move further, would we like to collect a question first, and then we can answer at the same time? Yeah, please, our friend.
Sorry, mine is not question, just some.
Yeah, sure. Don't worry. Please go ahead. Yeah, you can talk now.
Okay. Thank you very much, Achan Ampon, for inviting me to this event. During listening this all, I have made some small note, maybe 5 minutes I may take. It is, first of all, please let me introduce myself. I'm Kintida from Myanmar, a Rohingya social worker. And I have been working for Rohingya community, my community. It's about 12 years now. So sadly, when I start, sadly or funny, I'm not sure, when I start working, my career life is when the war started in 2012. So as soon as I start, my career life was with war. So thanks to all the speakers, and it is very good to learn from different perspectives. I learn a lot. And again, first of all, thank you very much for using our real name, Rohingya word. Where else our origin country is not recognizing our name. So I'm sorry in advance that I may be a bit emotional. So, and we are really sorry for being burdened to the countries wherever we flee, and that means including Thailand, Indonesia, and Banda Aceh. And we are really sorry to learn that this is even disturbing the country's election process. And again, actually, since before we leave the country, we already realize and accept that no one will be welcoming us. We know that. And again, we are really aware that we will not be welcome. Of course, it is difficult because it is difficult to share our rights with others. Even one piece of snake to share is difficult. It's land rights. our ethnicity rights, country rights. It's very difficult. We understand that. And we are also regretfully aware that we cause problems to the countries who give us shelters. We know that. We believe that this is one of the side effects of lack of education. Due to losing birthright, just very few percentage of us get chance to access proper education. We have some schools, they come to teach us, but teachers never teach us. So to get proper education is like very difficult, and it is such a luxury thing for us. So, and also taking this event as an opportunity, I personally and emotionally would like to request all of you to empower us with education. Not only humanitarian aid, but education. Please give us education. And moreover, at the same time, I also would like to highlight that this is not only about Rohingya. This is about humanity. When you are not facing these issues, doesn't mean that it will not come to you one day. For example, in Myanmar, it started with Rohingya. It was like burning slowly since 1980s, maybe since 1940s. But in 2012, it became a big issue. And some of the people, they neglected and see what is Myanmar happening right now. The whole country, we end up being refugee. So it doesn't mean that if it is not being to you, if you are not facing these issues, doesn't mean that it will not come to you one day. So this is about humanity. And also another point, our sister said that better condition. This is really, to talk about this, I feel really emotional because because to eat on time, to sleep in a safe shelter, this is really difficult. We go to school in the morning. Sorry. We go to school in the morning. We don't know we will come back to home alive or not. We face this thing the whole life. At school, there will be no friend. Teachers will not be directly communicating with you. So better condition means, it means a lot to us. Human right is just a luxury thing for me, for us. You know, surprisingly, I learned the word human right after I graduate. I did not know that word, simple word, human right word. After I graduate, I know, oh, what is human right? It was our life. And, you know, when human right is being a luxury thing for us, so better condition is much more, it's like a dreamful life. When we say better condition, maybe it means that we can sleep with that awareness that we will not be killed tonight. Maybe it can be like safety, sense of security. So thank you very much, Teacher Ampong, for giving me this chance. Sorry. Have a nice day to you all.
Thank you very much for open up your feeling. It's not only the experience, but also the feeling. We go back to the question, and also you also, who professor can make comments on the statements from our sister. Yeah, please go ahead with the question, answer the question first, and then you can. Yeah, right. It's up to you because we have question, right? Sorry that we do not record it.
My question was, you said that Aceh is known to be a transit for refugees, but say they would want to stay in Indonesia, will the government allow them to become citizens or will they force them out? And also, how come Indonesian people are more hesitant to helping out the refugees in Myanmar than Palestine? Because they are very supportive of Palestine and say, we support Palestine, but when they have people like from Myanmar, they don't really want to help them.
Yeah, I think it's a tough question. I remember maybe a month ago, I was asked to deliver the speech in the postgraduate school's graduation ceremony, and I wear the kafiyeh because no one openly talk about it. But I started my speech by saying this is the language of humanity that everybody understands. This is not about Palestine per se. This is about everyone who was on the run. I've been on the run during the conflict, so I know how it feels. Maybe it's not bad as the Rohingyas, for example, or the Palestinians, even worse. But your second question is very interesting, especially at the community level. The first one I think is being I have already answered and informed that as far as I can understand from the regulation that Indonesia do not accept the apa tadi Bu? The convention, meaning they should go to some other countries who accept the convention. As far as I can understand, I know Thailand, but Malaysia. Okay. As far as can remember, it's Malaysia and Australia, the closest to us. So, the only problem, it's not the only, one of the problem is that they don't have really, a more detailed mechanism how to deal with this. It's only an emergency plan. So for example, when they're stranded, the immigration should make verified data and coordinate it with the UNHCR, for example. And as far as I can understand and remember, I spoke to them 2 months ago. So what do they need to do if they want to go to the third country? We call it the third country. They need to verify the documents. They need to do is it true? Please correct me if I'm wrong. So they need to do the paperwork and they need to talk to the IOM. IOM will talk to the Indonesian government, provide the fund and so on. UNHCR only, at the very first stage of emergency. And this is where the community is accepting or rejecting. But I would say the Acehnese will accept because they're still helping with the psychosocial programs. They're still doing, one of my students at the Language Development Center, they have a small group and they help out with the refugee to communicate, like you mentioned, to deal with some basic things, because I can truly understand because they was on the run the whole life. They've never sit and live in a proper home, for example. So I'm very sad, to be honest, personally, when they say the Rohingya would like to have is that true? I don't believe that, because people are going to be very grateful. Like in my case, when someone is looking a refuge at my home, either they are pro this or pro that, and we still provide, like my dad says, okay, we have 3 days to host you. Like a famous hadith in Islam says, you need to be very polite and welcoming and we need to help people. So there is no detailed mechanism yet. This is what I say. I think the national government, the MP, the parliament, the UNHCR, the IOM, I think they did talk something about revising this to become a lot more prepared. Maybe better is somewhat debatable, but that's the case. So will the Indonesian government expel them? So far, I don't know. So far, there's no explicit action, I would say, but maybe implicitly, not the government, but I think it's not publicly being discussed. Yeah. So for example, in the case of in Western Aceh, suddenly they should go in 3 hours. I don't believe that is like, you know, like someone says, it's not an isolated incident. It's coordinated online and offline. But the problem is they cannot simply expel because it's our job to help according to the law. But how long and how we coordinate and provide help? It's not. So they need to, I think there are some steps. They need to go to the home and do some paperwork, and then they will be dispersed into different locations. And they need to collaborate with the village, whether they will accept or not. So it's depending on the situations again. Your second question is much more interesting because sometimes me, myself, and some other Acehnese locals, it's very hard for us to decide which. Definitely at this moment, they are more inclined, you know, for the Palestinian issues and case because according to some, it's worse. But it's not, this is worse and this is not. Our job as a human is to help. So organizing events towards Rohingya publicly is rare. But for Palestinians, yeah, it's normal. It's like everyday talk now. And at some point they will get, you know, they will forget one way or the other because it's kept going on after 7 months. But my honest observation and assessment is very rare if they make, you know, a big, like in 2017, they held a very big event for donation. Yeah. But now it's not that much, I would say. So they're supporting both Palestinians and Rohingyas. But for example, for the case of Palestinians, they can collect money and send them maybe either in food or something. But in Rohingya, they need to go for themselves directly to the site. Yeah, this is something that we need to coordinate. You cannot simply, I just ask my students, will you go? We will have an outdoor class. We will see firsthand the Rohingya. And we were a bit confused. Who should we talk to? Is it the UNHCR or the government? Who owns the building or something? Is not very clear. But sometimes the language program, they went directly to Rohingya. I think it's every Saturday and Monday. They provide a small course for the Rohingya. So in terms of Palestinians, yes, is a good question. Like nowadays, they are a bit shy to express that they are supporting Rohingya because maybe there's a bigger problem in Palestinian. But the thing is, like in my statement, if we help Palestinians, then we should help Rohingya. Because we help Palestinians. Palestinians are very far away from us. But Rohingya is in front of us. And it's more obligation, it's more obligatory, so to say, to help Rohingya first than the Palestinians. But if I release that statement, it costs another steers, you know. So I need to be very careful on that issues. But yes, that's what I can say. Thank you. Ibu Meli?
I would like to add some additional information about this, particularly in regards with Palestinian and Rohingya. And how to say, the resistance surge was happening in 2023. And then at the same time, if we look at the media again, yeah, in 2023 December, yeah, the former minister of the defense of Indonesia, gave scholarship for 22 Palestinian students to study in Indonesia. And then just recently in June 2024, because both parties, both Rohingya and Palestinian, experienced the same thing, but there is more some kind of support to this one party, and another party was being neglected, unfortunately. And I try to like gather some information from grassroots levels. How do they perceive about this issue? And yeah, they also shows the tendency to support Palestinian more than Rohingya, because according to them, Palestinians' conditions were worse than Rohingyas, and Palestinians shows more fights against Israel, while Rohingya just escaped from the land. He said something like that. So the sympathy was getting more to Palestinian because they just struggle at their land no matter what, even though they were killed. But Rohingya just escaped. They said something like that. So yeah, that's maybe the conditions that we observe now. And about your experience, I think it's very important to raise the voice of Rohingyas people, in front of public, because in 2015, when I observed the news that spreading that year, some of the news told the story of worst living condition of Rohingya, why they escaped from their countries, and it raised some kind of sympathy more from people. But nowadays, nobody talk about Rohingya conditions anymore. Their hard conditions, no more. So yeah, we're about to hold an event maybe next month. I also suggest to the committee to also invite the Rohingya people so we can know their story directly. What's happening in their countries, what they're experiencing there. So people understand what they're facing for. So not only based on what other people said about Rohingya, because they do not experience that directly. But the committee said it's really hard to get Rohingya to come to the event because we need some kind of permission, very procedural, and it's really hard to get them. But I think it's really good to invite them so we can hear them directly. And also nowadays, well, it's actually not only happening in Aceh, in Indonesia, but also in other parts of countries like in European Union, for instance, in regards with Syrian refugees, for instance, they also try to securitize the refugee issues by saying that it will harm your national interests, something like that. So they securitize this issue. Based on the research that I read, it's because the government feel the burden of the refugees, but they don't want to say it directly because it's not good in front of the international community's eyes. So they try to securitize it in order to get people, the grassroots levels, to resist it. So they have the reasons to reject the refugees. It's what happening in European Union. But luckily, when I learned from the Turkey's case, the government still accept the Rohingya. So we should, maybe Indonesia should learn from Turkey's ways or methods in dealing with the refugee, how they can like integrate people so resistance can be you know, prevented. So, yeah.
Yeah, please.
Police from Myanmar. Well, I highly appreciate your work. I was thinking maybe me and Bu Meli could organize something to raise some awareness. Yeah, because the existence of the problem needs to be addressed. So we want a first-hand resource person, for example. Maybe we could do that in the long run. And second, I see a difference, because when I talk about Rohingya to my students and to some other sessions, there's a problem of recognition, like stateless and paperwork and something, which is difficult for the Indonesian. They don't have the mechanism. And second of all, that's why the NGO is always supporting the case, and the government is very reluctant and so on. The other thing that we could probably raise some awareness is, I've read some articles that to some extent they say this is related to your questions. The Southeast Asian Palestinians, that's what they call for the Rohingya. I've read a book about it, but the issue is rather different. If you talk about the Palestinian, they still have the passport, for example. They still can compete even to the Olympic, no matter how worse the situation. And I could not explain in words, But the Rohingya is not the same. That's why they should run, right? It's not the same. So it's very difficult to articulate this. How come that someone does not have that kind of passport, and it's mean you're not here. Yeah. So this is what hurts so much when we talk about, and I should explain this to my students, but because they rarely see and read books nowadays. They read social media a lot, so we should do something on social medias. And the other thing, we could also raise some awareness if we have some small projects and something between maybe 3 universities or something. We could also, like in refugee center, we could come firsthand and invite someone like you to share your experience as well. I think it would open up a new possibility. The third front that we could also do is to extend, I've said something about the NGO, the ENGO, the UN, and the governments and the local government and the local activists and NGO. Maybe we could, in the case of Indonesia, for example, help them, advocate them to make a more prepared planning and handling of this case. Yeah. Because it used to be the Afghans, right? But again, the final destination is not Indonesia. I believe that. The final destination is Australia. The second one is probably Singapore. Malaysia, sorry. In our case, during the conflict, the first place is Malaysia. If they have money, to Singapore, then they depart to somewhere else in Europe. So again, if I ask somebody from the past, what would you like to be in the future? They simply say, if they went to Malaysia, they will say, we want to be like Malaysia once we have agreement. We want to be like Singapore once we have agreement. We want to be like, what else? Brunei. I've heard about Brunei. So you see, they're referencing to the prosperity, wealth, and something like that. So these are the 3 fronts that we could do together. Maybe it's not easy, but we need to start. That's why we start at campus. We raise awareness. We have the subjects, and maybe I didn't see some involvement, but maybe I not really read or rarely publicize about the ASEAN initiatives. Every time I teach political of Southeast Asian, they came up with this, what did the ASEAN do? And I said, I don't know much about ASEAN, but I think SBA did something. and everyone did something. Yeah, but it's not like in the case of other refugees. Yeah, I think during SBE they need they had a talk encouraging the Myanmar government, blah blah blah. And last year in my class, they decided to display a movie, so a public screening in the Politics of Southeast Asian Studies. I asked them to pick one of the 10 Asians movie related to politics, and they pick up two movie, one from the Vietnamese War, and the other one from the Myanmar and the Burmese things. And then we discussed, can we do this something? Of course you can. This is the university. It's for academia. So these are the 3 or 4 things that we could do together. Again, I appreciate your work. We hope that we can collaborate in the near future. And thank you very much once again for all your comments and expressions and feelings and so on. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, actually we come to the end, and we also learn from what our speakers draw from the agreement memorandum of understanding between Aceh and Indonesian government. In here we have the specialists working from Thailand, Thammasat University, Ajahn On Anong on Sharia in Aceh. And we can bring that kind of issue to learn more about the time of conflict, reconciliation. And now we turn to another page in different chapters, even talking about the problems of migration, the refugee, when we don't have appropriate and concrete asylum laws, including all Southeast Asian countries. So this is the phenomena in our region. And we also take along different aspects of what we have discussed in our forums. And I'm sure that we have things to do in the future together, as speaker said. Before we close our forum, I like to request our speakers to have last minute, about 1 minute last minute conclusion, probably just a few words, or what would you like to convey at the end of this forum?
Thank you so much for this opportunity once again, I would say. And I would like to maybe stress this on the points of we have to raise more awareness about this issue, because this is really important. Don't let people just assume it based on the title of the media, for instance, because nowadays people are rarely reading books, reading media too roughly. They just read the title and that's all. So we have to raise awareness about that, and also the exposure about the Rohingya refugees, for instance. If we compare with Palestinian people, yeah, the exposure about them is quite a lot, while Rohingya peoples is very limited. So that's maybe one of the reasons of why people do not really aware about what's happening to Rohingya. And also people make wrong reference to Rohingya people by saying that they are illegal migrants, while we have to differentiate, we have to distinguish these terms, because it's different. When it comes to illegal migrant, it means that they are active agents and they move from their land because they want to gain more prosperity outside of their lands. But if we see them as the victims, we can understand that they are being persecuted in their homeland. So that's why they escape from them. So we need to raise awareness about the difference of the terms as well. And also, I would like to raise the issue of nationalism versus cosmopolitanism. Why in some area, for instance, in Aceh, when we want to raise our nationalist ideals about our country, we have to forget about the cosmopolitanism. My question is, can we just put these terms together? Yeah, we can be nationalists while also being cosmopolitanists at the same time. When we want to raise our nationalism, doesn't mean that we have to forget others, because others are also human. So yeah, that's my closing statement. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's a very nice conclusion. I would like to add a little bit more that raising awareness can be done firsthand at the university level, where we can talk a lot of issues together and we can provide maybe solutions to this. I would say that we need to raise the voice of the voiceless. We need to speak for them, and this is what we basically do. This is our job as an academia, to say something which is supporting the humanitarian issue. The second thing is, I'm from the language and culture parts. I think it's the campaign should like has been discussed earlier, that the social media campaign, the coordinated efforts through social media need to be, and the interlink between us must be even stronger. So I'm thinking something that we could do the exchange and could do some formal placement of our students at the UN, for example, and learn from them directly. And third, I think what is difficult is to get this into the policy, something which is possible, but it's rather difficult depending on the timing and something else. So the language and the identity of the refugee must be well recognized, I would say, but there is another bottom line effort that we need to do together. And I would say that the Acehnese is very cosmopolite. Yeah, they are willing to accept anybody, and it's in our blood. I give you short examples. During the very hard times of the Indonesian independence struggle, some say that this is apologetic, but I would say this is the symbol of acceptance and willingness to help. The Acehnese was the first who donated the first official aeroplanes of Garuda Indonesia Airways. They were and during difficulties. So that's why I'm so surprised if somebody is complaining. We've been in much more difficult times, but we're still helping others, right? We are poor, we have no money, and at that time they collected the fund from the peasants to buy 2 aeroplanes. You can see, so I'm a bit angry with when these things happen. The second one is when, during the last phase of the conflict, this is the internal refugee. It's quite a lot. And I was a student at that time. And in the central mosque, is an exodus of refugee. In our campus is known for accepting refugees for all over Aceh. And we did something. In the midst of difficulties. So we have proven that we can do this, and we can do this again. This is already a small, turbulence, I would say. So it's not in our habits, to reject and to decline if someone needs help. So I would say we can do more. And thank you once again for your hospitality, Thammasat University, and all of the peoples involved, Dr. Ampon and everyone, the directors and the leadership. We are very eager to see what we can do together. I would say maybe small but meaningful efforts will do. And thank you for having us both here. Sawadee krap.
สวัสดีค่ะขอบคุณมากค่ะ I have to say thank you to all of you who stand with us, here with us until the end of the forum. And once again, thanks for the organizing members from 2 centers, including friends, followers who support us on social media. I looked through the broadcasting. there's no question, but hopefully if there are some other comments or questions, I will transfer to our experts or speakers, and then we can discuss further on. I know university could not be able to become a space that do a lot of things, applying all of the policies, but we can do things bit by bit. And we shows already in the history, including from the moment that we are doing and proposing the issues that tough and hard to promote our peaceful society. It's not just a fashion or lavender films, but it is the reality that we are facing, and we can cooperate in the future. Thank you very much. สวัสดีค่ะ ขอบคุณค่ะ Oh, we have done.